Near mint condition, the home of collected editions. Oh my gosh, look at that panel of Batman. You have the absolute, you have the deluxe. DC Comics firing on all cylinders. You knew I had to do it. This is the Uncanny Omar. So of course I had to buy another format of Superman, the Death and Return of Superman. This time around, we're going to be looking at the compendium of this story. And then, of course, comparing it to the Omni. But yes, let's go ahead and get started with my overview. And welcome back, everybody. So what we're looking at here is the latest DC Compendium, and this is the Superman, the Death and Return of Superman Compendium. And you know I had to get it. I mean, this is the Death and Return of Superman. I bought it in every other format. I don't know how many copies I've given away, but I will be comparing it. The Omnibus Edition does. And of course, this is a trade. Just a thick trade, as you can probably tell from the spine of the book right here. It does have the new DC logo. The bullet logo is back. It's nice to see that back. Something from my childhood that very nostalgic for. And it's really cool to see it back. The back of the book seems like it's the same font and like the same praise for the book. It's really interesting that they decided to go that route. Because the picture that I saw was that of Doomsday, I think, punching a hole through the shield. And it's one that was done by Dan Jurgens. And of course, there is a big price difference, right? We're looking at this book right here, which is $59.99. And then this big Omni is $150 for the latest printing that just came out a couple of years ago. And again, this is a softcover version. So what I'm going to do is open this book up, and I'm just going to go ahead and tell you there's going to be spoilers because I have reviewed this book and done overviews of it. We've done an old reader, new reader on a couple of the series here, but I just want to go ahead and have some fun with this overview and talk about it, about the stories in here and show off the artwork, and then of course do a comparison with the original or I'm so used to saying original printing, with the Omni to see what the differences are. All right, let's go ahead and get this open. Here's your title page, Superman, the Death and Return of Superman Compendium. And all the credits over here on the left-hand side, like your writers, your pencilers, inkers, colorists, and letters. I do remember the Superman meet where they decided to kill him was Dan Jurgens and Jerry Ordway, Louis Simonson, Roger Stern, with a few of the editors at the time. And there's going to be different writers and different artists that work on here. Here's the breakdown of each of these issues that are collected through here, and where you're going to find each of the issues, and there are page numbers. So in here we have Superman 73 to 83, Adventures of Superman 496 to 505, Justice League of America 69 and 70, Action Comics 683 to 692, Action Comics Annual Number 5, Green Lantern 46, Superman Annual Number 5, Superman the Man of Steel 17 through 26, Superman the Man of Steel Annual Number 2, Superman Legacy of Superman Number 1, The Adventures of Superman Annual Number 5, Supergirl Team Luthor, can't help but say that like Gene Hackman, Luthor, Special Number 1, and News Time, The Life and Death of Superman Number 1. The book has 1,378 pages, and it retails for $59.99. And if you're thinking, wait a second, is this any different than the Superman Death and Return Omni? No, it's not. It's got the exact same material. So as a matter of fact, even though it kicks it off really with the Man of Steel number 18, we do have a little bit here from those issues where Doomsday's just trying to beat and break out of this wall. So, spoilers, because here we go. I have talked enough about the overviews of these, and I'll look at the build of this and the extras and compare it to the extras of the Omni. The Omni, by the way, has 1,408 pages, so it does have more extras than this does. But we'll look and see what exactly that is, and the most importantly, what is the reading order of this book. Because it is identical to that of the Omni, by the way. So it does make for a really good reading experience. So, Doomsday, this creature has broken loose. Superman is, at this time, hanging out with the underground folks. He's hanging out with Double X. And pretty much just having a normal day in Metropolis. Because, I mean, he's always fighting somebody, right? Meantime, Optimus Prime here, nope, just kidding. This truck gets hit by this creature that only has one arm. Like, it just has one arm while the other one's tied up. So, Oberon gets a message from the trucker, because they have a direct line to the Justice League, and here comes the Justice League of America to come and fight Doomsday. So, you have the character of Maxima, Booster Gold through here, Ice, Bloodwind, and, of course, Blue Beetle with Guy Gardner during this time. And man, Doomsday is just a killing machine. So if you can't stomach animals, kids, human beings getting hurt, this is not the story for you. He is a killing machine. He is out to wreck things, and he wants to destroy everything. He wipes the floor with the Justice League. I mean, they get maimed. They get hurt. At one point when I was reading this as a kid, I'm like, oh my gosh, Ted, what happened to Blue Beetle? He got killed. That continues into the pages of Superman 74 right here, which just has ice going through this family's window. And not that they're the greatest people, or the kid is not the greatest person here, but Superman's trying to save him. This is a kid that doesn't respect or like Superman, and Superman is doing everything he can with the Justice League to try to take down Doomsday, but unfortunately, all it does is just piss him off, and he is now able to use both arms. And I think this is one of my favorite parts, is when he takes poor Booster Gold's head. Yeah, this is the part right here. He just slams the door on poor Booster Gold's face and wiping the floor with the Justice League. One of the things you're going to notice, and I love pointing this out because it's just such a cool little gimmick, the frames get bigger and bigger. So it's almost like a build up to the summer, like the summer blockbuster. By now we're using 4 frames per page. This time around, when we get to Superman in Action Comics 684, we're going to be using 3 frames per page, like this. Almost like the pictures are getting bigger and bigger. This is also during the time when Matrix is Supergirl, so it's not the Supergirl that appears in the Batman Superman comic. This is Matrix that eventually Peter David will be writing her series. And it's such a good series, too. Like, if you haven't read it, I'm so glad DC Finest is coming out with it. Hopefully one day we'll get an Omni. But yes, Doomsday is going after Metropolis, something that Superman loves, real American. We saw Optimus Prime earlier. Now we see perhaps G.I. Joe, a little cameo there. But there's all kinds of Easter eggs for this stuff. This is now when we're getting into 2 panels per page. That means the showdown is about to happen. So yes, Matrix is an alien, not quite from Krypton. She has a different story. But Dan Turpin here with Maggie Sawyer, the cops from Metropolis, and Superman just not holding back now, realizing that he's never fought somebody quite like this, somebody that's strong, somebody that can hold their own, because he's used to pulling back punches because he's dealing with people that he could kill, and Superman doesn't want to kill anybody. This is something that Superman has never faced. And it all leads to the showdown in issue 75. Man, I remember the hype behind this. I remember the actual news stations talking about this on the radio, on television, and the newspaper saying they were going to kill Superman. And you know, you have the older generation who were getting comics, because I was working at the comic book store. No, I was actually volunteering at the comic book store at the time. I didn't even have a job there at the time. I was just hanging out, and the shop owner was like, "You just want to help me put books up for credit?" I was like, "Yes." But it's like they didn't believe that they were going to do it, and sure enough, Doomsday was able to kill Superman. Like, Superman did everything he could to defeat Doomsday, and that last blow with the picture taken here by Jimmy Olsen. And then, of course, you have this amazing image of Bloodwind and Ice right here, looking at Superman in mourning, and then Lois Lane holding him. And yes, the fold-out page from the Omni, which is the reason why I upgraded to the 3rd printing of the Omni, is also included in this compendium. For this is the day that a Superman died. And we go immediately to the news time, which is the way the Omni was mapped. This is the articles that are in here talking about the death of Superman and what it means to different people, going around the different DC universe and, you know, interviewing them. And then we go to Funeral for a Friend right here with the event. That picture, my gosh. And of course, this is the Tom Grumet stuff, Jerry Ordway writing these issues right here of Adventures of Superman. And Funeral for a Friend is pretty much how the entire DC universe is reacting to the death of this character that they thought was completely unbeatable. Like, you can't kill Superman. The Justice League is mourning for him. They're all started wearing these little armbands right here. It's so, like, one of the saddest things I don't think enough people realize, maybe they don't talk about, are not everybody is mourning Superman the same way. You know, you have the Justice League friends. Some of them know that he's Clark Kent. But really, no one is mourning him like Lois Lane and the Kents. Because you can't. Because not everybody knows that Clark Kent is Superman. And that is one of the most heartbreaking things about this story, especially when you get to Funeral for a Friend. And this is when the DC superheroes all put the armband on to mourn their friend. And it's just so sad. But you don't realize it until, I think it's in Man of Steel, that you have this wonderful scene, okay, right here, where Lois Lane starts breaking down, right? And she can't break down. She has to hold it together. Just like the Kents have to hold it together, that this is not their son that died, and they refuse to believe it. And it's such a beautiful moment when all three of them are finally together, able to mourn the loss of Superman. Supergirl stepping in right here because the world needs somebody like Supergirl. If Superman's not around, then someone like her needs to be around. You have this beautiful, freaking heartbreaking moment right here with the character of Bibbo. Right? Like, this is a guy that at first didn't really like Superman, and then he learned to respect him and love him. But he's here and he's praying to God. He's asking God why. Why should Superman die when a washed up old roughneck like him goes on living? Like, 90s comics, especially gimmicky comics like the Death and Return of Superman, you know, they get put into this category of just gimmicky comics that don't have any worth, that, and I don't mean monetary value, I just mean like reading value, that people just overlook because, yeah, it was a gimmick, but there's a lot of beautiful, wonderful moments through here that I don't think get talked about often. I think it's overlooked by the appearances of the reign of the Superman. I think most people were probably hyping that up, right? Like, oh, we've got a new Superman, we've got an Eradicator, and I'll talk a little bit about those here in a second. But first comes the mourning, right? It's like, even the kid that didn't respect or like Superman is here mourning him. Bibbo connects with these characters. There's a lot of good human moments through here. Superman has this statue built for him. This is Alexander Luthor, by the way, believed to be, at this time, the son of the original Lex Luthor, who died of cancer. And then, of course, later on, hey, I said I was talking about spoilers, is revealed to be none other than Lex Luthor himself. And it's such a comic book way to actually write the character back in the comics by saying it was a clone. But anyway, you have now characters like Guardian stepping in as the protector of Metropolis. You have Gangbuster stepping in as the protector of Metropolis. You have Supergirl down here dealing with the underground folks. Dublex, the Cadmus Project, they're all still playing a part in all of this and trying to recreate a superhero that is no longer here. This is one of my favorite issues. This is the legacy of Superman. I love that the reprints always have like the second printing. I think the Omni did too. I think this is really, to me, this feels like just the exact same scans that the Omnibus had, with the exception of some of the extras in the back. So in here, it's separated by different stories. You have Carl Kessel writing the story here of Orin, and this one is drawn by Walter Simonson, showcasing kind of like new characters and what will be the legacy of Metropolis. This is the story of Thorn right here. There's Gangbuster right here, written by different creators. And at one time, you know, perhaps these characters would go on to become, or I guess have their own ongoing series. This one focuses on the character of Luthor here. Luthor Jr. Did I call him Alexander earlier? No, it's just Lex Luthor Jr. And then the character of the Vood right here, who's got his own powers. And then the Linear Men. And actually, this little tidbit right here, this Dan Jurgens with finishes by Trevor Scott, which I really love. This actually shows something that will become or lead into the 0 Hour event, and then of course having ties to things like Booster Gold later on. So even though you've seen these characters of Wave Rider and the Linear Men like Rip Hunter and Matt Ryder in the Time and Time Again story, which they touch upon here a little bit, you will see them again, especially the character of Wave Rider through the pages of 0 Hour. So yes, Funeral for a Friend leads into this horrible thing that happens to Pa Kent, where he ends up having a heart attack and he has to go to the hospital. And the way this is mapped is just like the Omni, where he ends up going to the hospital, and we go directly to the Supergirl and Team Luthor story right here, which focuses on Luthor and his team trying to protect Metropolis, trying to be the good guy. And then we go back, this is another backup story here by Louise Simonson talking about the people that are staying in the shelter. Then we go back to the Funeral for a Friend that wraps up with the Adventures of Superman 500, Back from the Dead. And this is such a beautiful story of Superman, Kal-El, and Jonathan Kent in the afterlife. And the difference in the Kryptonian afterlife and then the human afterlife, what he was brought up to believe. And it's a really cool, like, idea that you don't think about. You know, this guy is from Krypton, so they have to have different beliefs. But Jonathan Kent, his father, his earthly father, taught him all these beliefs that he had. It goes to like flashbacks of his war when he was a soldier. It's just a really powerful story here that kind of gives you a glimpse of what's to come. This one is the one that came in the white bag, whereas the Death of Superman came in the black bag. And it gives you a small hint as to perhaps where Superman could be now. If he is not dead and they cannot find his body, where could he be? And also giving you the glimpse of what's to come with Steel, the Eradicator, Superboy, but don't call him Superboy, and then of course the Cyborg Superman, which will be taking over the Action Comics, Adventure Comics, and the Man of Steel comics, and then the adjectiveless Superman comic. So that's where the next story arc is, and that is the Reign of the Superman, Born Again. So this is the story of none other than the Eradicator. The Eradicator is a character that showed up in the past. I say he, but it's really an ancient Kryptonian weapon that merged with a human body to form this last son of Krypton. Even Bibbo gets in on the Superman game. And he starts believing in the truth, justice, the American way that Superman, Kal-El, believed in. And he was also the cause of one of the other characters that became a Superman in the Reign of Superman. The next character here is the character of Steel. This is now Man of Steel, which makes sense, right? Written by Louise Simonson, drawn by the phenomenal John Bogdanove. I loved his artwork. It was so different than everything else. But this is Dr. John Henry Irons II, and how it is his job to never let anything like Doomsday ever happen around his neck of the woods, and he gets to fight this character of White Rabbit. Just so weird, because we were just talking about Snow Bunny, and somebody was like, no, for real, White Rabbit is his enemy. Anyway, then we go to the Cyborg Superman, who probably has one of the most complex stories. Hank Henshaw. Remember when I said the Eradicator was also at fault for creating another character? It was a fight. It was during a fight with Superman, and they ended up destroying this ship, this Excalibur exploration spaceship, which had Hank Henshaw and his wife Terry and a couple of other astronauts, and that's why he became this creature, because they got hit by radio. Like it's almost like these cosmic radiation waves. Sort of like the Fantastic Four, but unfortunately had horrible side effects. He's here facing Doomsday, because Doomsday's still alive. So he takes Doomsday and puts him on an asteroid, because, again, he's now going as the Cyborg Superman, but he has other plans that will come to play a little bit later. He's not everything that he's cracked up to be. Now we get one of my favorite characters, and that is Superboy. This is a human clone created by the Cadmus Project, or Project Cadmus, sorry, that took DNA from Superman and Lex Luthor and made this character right here, following the death of Superman. So they're not able to acquire just Superman's DNA, so they had to genetically engineer it to be a human, to appear like Superman. But then later on, it's revealed they actually took DNA also from Lex Luthor. But that doesn't happen, I think, until the pages of Teen Titans by Jeff Johns. No, there was a small hint of it in Young Justice by Peter David. Then we get the annuals here. This is the Man of Steel annual right here. And the Bloodlines annual are very unique because it's just like a one-time appearance and that's it, with the exception of somebody like Loose Cannon, who got his own miniseries. And then, of course, Hitman. So this is the alien invasion that's coming, and you get like a polybag comic with a trading card showcasing the first appearance of a new character, a new villain. And then we have this fight here with Guy Gardner, with the Eradicator here. So not a lot of these people are happy with the Superman imposters. There's fights between the two Superman in this issue right here. Superboy, yes, we're going to call him Superboy, and Steel fighting here. And again, amazing artwork by John Bogdanove. Wow. And, of course, the Eradicator and Cyborg Superman already are at odds with each other. This is an article written by, I think his name was Robbie, who works at the Daily Planet and writes stories about the reign of Superman, about these characters, but focusing on Hank Henshaw, the character of Cyborg Superman. This is the introduction of Myriad. And again, these characters don't really come back. This is the Stinger right here. And fighting Superboy, there's a confrontation with Supergirl because, you know, that she has close ties to Superman and still feels strongly about his death. He's introduced to Lex Luthor, and then you start getting small hints as to what the intention of some of these characters are. Like, who's in it for the good of the people, the good of Metropolis, and the good of Earth, and who's in it perhaps for a different reason. And where has Superman's body been? Because we haven't seen Superman's body. This is another one of the Bloodlines crossover. This is one with the introduction of Loose Cannon here, who, like I mentioned, gets his own like mini-series. So the truth is that Superman's body, in actuality, was taken by the last son of Krypton, as is revealed later. This is the fight between Hank Henshaw and the Eradicator. And it's such a good fight because this is when the Eradicator finds out this plan that Cyborg Superman has had with none other than Mongul, one of Superman's nemesis. But what has happened is the last son of Krypton has taken Superman's body and put it in this regeneration matrix in the Fortress of Solitude. And it's like this giant robot from Krypton. So what it's doing is it's drawing energy from its own body to recover the body that's inside of it. And it's revealed the last son of Krypton, the Eradicator, through these pages is this ancient weapon. So he kind of knows about how to fix Kryptonians more than anybody. And then, of course, Cyborg is the deranged consciousness of Hank Henshaw, the immortal man. And it's just a really interesting resurrection because it pretty much states that Superman can't die, and the only reason he died is because of his upbringing on Earth. He was just hurt really bad. So he does eventually come out of this armor right here. Now the armor's walking around to go and help the other Superman that are now fighting against Hank. So you have Steel teaming up with Supergirl and Lex Luthor and Superboy and the Eradicator, and then once Superman finds out that Cyborg Superman's coming from Metropolis, he's like, over my dead body. It's a lot of fun. And Superman does come back with that long hair. Some people call it a mullet. Others call it just rock star type of hair. And then the storyline is interrupted. I never understood where to place this because it's stopping the story. But even within the annual, they talk about what's going on with Superman and why Superboy's having this side adventure while everybody else is fighting the Cyborg Superman. That's such an awesome picture right there. So it's not just Cyborg Superman, but Mongul, and then, of course, the crossover with none other than Green Lantern. And this is when Cyborg Superman destroys Hal Jordan's home. This is when he destroys the city. So Coastal City is gone after this. And this leads into the whole Emerald Twilight storyline, where Hal Jordan goes crazy because his entire city has been destroyed. But now comes to an end here, the fight against Cyborg Superman and stopping the machinery that's going to wreck the world. And unfortunately, the Eradicator gets hurt. And then officially, we get Superman back in the old blue, red, and yellow costume instead of this really cool black costume. And we get these issues, the Aftermath issues. The same issues that were collected previously in the Omni. So we still have Superboy and Steel, which will spin off in their own series. You'll have the Steel ongoing series, and you'll have the Superboy ongoing series. And Doomsday, still out there, waiting to come back. And when he comes back, it's in that Dan Jurgens miniseries. I love this right here, because while Superman was dead and coming back, and we had the reign of Superman, Batman was dealing with his own crap in Nightfall. Right, so it's like during the Night Quest era. And then all the way back here, this is the Funeral for a Friend Aftermath, right here. Or the epilogue, as it's called. Yes, right here, the epilogue. And that's the last issue that's collected here. And it's just Superman reuniting with his friends, like the Justice League, and what it means to have him back. And then these are the extras we get. We get the Funeral for a Friend poster that was included with issue number 75. And we have the wraparound cover for the previews from 1994. And then the Death and Return of Superman Omni from 2012, that printing. And this is the retail poster right here. So we do get that. Now, what I want to do is compare this with the Omni, because I said the page count of the story is the exact same page count as the Omni. So, for example, let me just flip to a random page here with a page number. Like, we're looking at page 405 over here. We'll go to page 405, and it is that exact, and it's that exact Crime Buster page. And we'll do it again with another page here later on, so you can see page 1121, and over here, page 1121. Of course, the artwork is bigger in the Omni, since it's an omnibus compared to a compendium. This is the size of a trade paperback. And the paper stock, it's a thicker glossy paper for the Omni, while as over here they're using a thinner glossy paper stock, but it does have a glossy finish to it. And you can see a little bit more of the bleed through happening from the other page as you can. Over here, you can a little bit, but it's more prominent over here, and that's due to the paper stock they're using. And again, just to kind of prove my point, this is page 1261, and we'll go to page 1261 over here in the compendium. And it's the exact same mapping. It's the exact same. I swear, it's like they took the scans from here and just made them a little bit smaller for the compendium. The big difference, of course, is the extras. The extras over here, just a few extras, like this, and this, and that's it. Whereas the extras over here, right after the funeral epilogue, you get the introductions that previously appeared. You get these pictures here too. Like that, and this. Concept art, sketches. And then this cover and the bio. Actually, you know, maybe this right here, this retail poster is the only thing that's not in the extras. Let me double check. Nope, it's in here. No, it's in here. It's right after these t-shirts right here. So it's right there. So everything in here in this compendium is collected in this Omni. But I know my viewers love different formats, so I wanted to do a thorough overview of this. I'm glad I got to talk about it with spoilers. It's a fun story. Is it the best Superman story? No, not at all. But it's got really great moments, and I think it's one of those things that, to me, I think it's required reading. You know, in order to talk about Superman, you have to talk about the death and return of Superman. And yeah, that's it. That is the compendium. More affordable way to get this story. And that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this compendium, don't forget to check out our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, build, and of course comparison to the Omni. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. Everyone, stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.